Hello everyone and welcome to week 4 of the Produce in Me online class. We are so excited to have you guys here. This week we are talking all about peace. The devotion for this week starts off with a story that happened just a few weeks ago where I was at my parents' house and they were gone on a long trip, and I had arrived home really late and the house is completely dark, and so I just quickly ran up to my bedroom. But as I was trying to fall asleep, I was not full of peace at all. I was really anxious and I was having a lot of trouble trying to fall asleep. I'll read in the devotion that I was worrying about something bad happening instead of focusing on God's light. Psalm 4 verse 8 says, "I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety." And so that kind of got me started thinking about God's peace. I thought this week I would show you guys a longer process video of me working in my Bible instead of just in my traveler's notebook. And so I am in Psalm 34, and I'm focusing on verse 14. I am using a technique that I believe Elaine Davis at Illustrated Faith was the first person to kind of talk about, this technique of using baby wipes to spread paint around on a page. And so for me, I really like taking the baby wipes and cutting them up so that I kind of get the most out of my money. And I just use a little bit to smear the paint around. And so I started using greens and reds to kind of go along with the colors of the watermelon, but then the red ended up being a little bit too harsh for me, so I kind of covered it up and focused more on some pinks and greens and smeared in white as well. I knew I wanted to have white on the bottom half of the page because I printed off some of the elements on sticker paper, including the watermelon sandals, watermelon flip-flops, and so I wanted those to really stand out on the bottom of the page, which is why I left it white. Psalm 34:14 says, "Depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it." And for me, this verse really connects well with the story that I shared in the devotion, because I think sometimes we get so focused on evil and bad things that could happen that it really robs us of the joy and the peace that we could be living in the present instead of worrying about what might happen. I also love how the verse ends with saying, "Seek peace and pursue it." And that really means that we're going to have to actively be searching and asking God to fill us with His peace, because it is so easy to get kind of focused and enveloped in the chaos that is our world. And we kind of forget and lose sight of God's amazing peace that will just cover us and fill us with His light. I really love this technique of spreading the paint all over the page using the baby wipe. I think it is so much fun, and it's neat to kind of see how the different layers of colors interact with one another. Sometimes I'll dry the layers in between if I don't want them to smear too much, and then sometimes I'll let them smear if they kind of look good together. And so I thought I had kind of finished, and then I was looking at the sandals that I wanted to use and realizing how the strap is a darker green, and so then I went back and added more dark green. And so it's kind of fun to just play with the different colors and experiment and kind of step outside and try something new on our Bible pages. On the other side of this page that I'm doing right now is a page from the very first week, and I had used some stamps on there and they had bled through, and so using acrylic paint is another awesome way to cover up the bleed through on the back side. And so I really liked how you couldn't even tell that I had written things on the other side of the page. Those little sandals that I added to the page are probably my very favorite element from this week. I had so much fun making them, and I think they just really represent peace well. In the devotion, I also mentioned Ephesians 6:15, which is about the armor of God, because in the armor of God, it talks about the shoes of peace. And so I thought, these sandals are really a good way and a good image that God kind of placed on my heart to represent the shoes of peace. But also, I love how this passage in Psalm 34 says to pursue it. And one of the watercolor word phrases in the devotion this week is chase after. And in order to chase something, oftentimes you need a good pair of shoes on. Maybe not the flip-flops in the picture, but you need shoes in order to chase after something. And so I just think the shoes were a really good image for me to remember this week about putting on peace. And, as I went through my week, I found myself, as I was grabbing my shoes, thinking a lot about peace. And when frustrations came and trials happened and I was stuck in traffic, I had to kind of remember okay, what shoes am I wearing today? Are they shoes of the world, of chaos, or are they God's shoes? And so I just thought that was an awesome way to remember. So I stuck that notebook behind the page so that when I stamped, I had a better chance of the stamp coming out clear when it was on a hard surface. I love the stamp that says peace, but it's kind of a tricky stamp and doesn't always stamp a clear image. And so sometimes putting a notebook behind really helps. And so I added some really fun watermelon washi tape that a friend gave me and a tab at the top of the page. And I was just using the pen to fill in the stamp a little bit. I would always encourage you guys to date stamp your pages or write out the date, because it is really neat to go back and observe and see all that God has taught you during different phases and stages in your life. In my traveler's notebook, you'll see me using the same technique of spreading it with the baby wipes, spreading the acrylic paint. And another thing, I found these awesome fruit coloring sheets from Target. And so you'll see I end up cutting one up and using it as a little tab to do some more drawing and journaling. And so check out Target if you want to get your own. And I use this image of a watermelon, and the rind is like God's peace, and we are the juicy inside, and so God's peace covers us. That was another big image. And I had also been thinking about using an umbrella this week, so if you're wondering, I need another journaling idea, using an umbrella to think about God's peace covering us is another awesome idea for you. Another one of the prompts from this week talks about what can you do when you're lacking peace. And the biggest answer I have is to pray to God that He would fill you with His holy and precious peace, because He is our Prince of Peace. And so I hope you guys will remember that this week as you are just going about and studying and going through daily life, that God is our Prince of Peace and He is covering you with His peace each and every day. Bye! Enjoy this week!